We earn money, save money and buy things. Living beyond the economic cycle is impossible. What trends are dictated by world markets and how does it affect consumers? Watch it in People and Economy. In this episode you will know: why is the world facing shortage of labor force? What are the highest paid job sectors? And why do European employers need foreign specialists? Foreign scientists carried out a research and found out that the most in-demand professions of the present and future were constructors, engineers and doctors. Nowadays, major projects are extensively being implemented all over the world. However, an acute shortage of workers can be observed. Kazakhstan is not an exception. The country with a growing economy also needs to increase trained labor force.
Во-первых, на все, в любом варианте это влияет само изменение.
In all cases, we deal with changes that happen in the society, as well as socio-economic changes and development. For example, all we know that in the 1990s, all people became bazaar vendors. There was no development and house building, and there was no demand for specialists. Currently, a great many of houses are being built in the country, especially in Almaty and Astana. There is also a growing demand for qualified welders and other specialists in western regions where oil and gas are extracted.
Нефть, газ, там все потребуется больше и больше хороших сварщиков, хороших специалистов.
Maksat Arinov wanted to become an economist, but when he knew about state grants for engineering specialties, he decided to obtain other profession. And it was a right choice. After training as a metallurgist, Maksat immediately found a job at one of the country's major machine-building plants. He successfully completed an internship as a welder and sometimes later became a foreman of a welders team and finally a welding engineer.
Мои обязанности входят это аттестация сварщиков, непосредственно на работе, то есть проверка периодическая.
My duties include appraisal of welders, monitoring, periodical control, checking of drafts and welding process of articles made and developed in our design department. Before sending documentation to the workshop, we should check them and decide what types of welding we can use and so on.
Мы должны проверить, что да, мы можем это сделать, то есть такие технологии нужны, какие можем применять, то есть виды сварок и так далее.
To upgrade his skills, Maksat visited special courses in Germany under Bolashak program. However, it was rather not the internship abroad, but first of all, persistence and willing to get new knowledge that helped him to build a career.
Ну, во-первых, был интерес.
I was interested in my job. I worked personally with each welder. I came up to everyone and asked them about the tricks of the trade. Some of these welders have been working in this field for 30 to 40 years. The administration also supported me in everything. During several years of work, Maksat and his team introduced new methods of welding in accordance with Western technologies. It should be noted that these operating procedures were applied in Kazakhstan for the first time. However, the work was not always going well. Mistakes and difficulties also took place. All the people begin from mistakes. We always make mistakes. I have passed through all that. I made mistakes, rectified them and finally obtained a positive result. It never happened when we gave up and told a client that we could not do that. Maksat does not regret about choosing his specialty. In Kazakhstan, there is an increasing demand for industrial workers. Various projects are being implemented in Atyrau, Ust-Kamenogorsk and other cities. It is always possible to become a specialist and find a job. Large factories involved in oil and gas, mining, metallurgical and uranium mining industries are seeking for highly skilled personnel. Experts are confident that the greater number of professional engineers, welders, milling machine operators and other industrial workers will encourage the domestic production of equipment. This in turn will reduce import of equivalent goods and have a favorable effect on the national economy.
Это развитие машиностроения. в Казахстане, раз.
Firstly, this stimulates the development of the machine building industry in Kazakhstan. Secondly, this will lead to the reduction of expenses on purchasing of equivalent equipment from far abroad. In other words, we are creating workplaces in Kazakhstan, but not, for example, in France. So there are two positive moments. We create jobs in Kazakhstan and reduce costs of companies which produce oil, gas, uranium, and so on.
Нефть, газ, уран и так далее.
More than 7 million square meters of housing are commissioned in the country annually. Experts predict that soon this figure will increase to 10 million. Therefore, the real estate sector is also interested in professionals, not only builders, but also electricians, furniture makers, finishers, plumbers, and many others. For reference, earlier these professions were low paid and not so prestigious. By now, the situation has changed.
Ну, к примеру, скажем, вот
For example, there is a demand for fitters of internal plumbing equipment. But many people still regard plumber as not a very prestigious profession. However, this is a little bit an outdated vision. Nowadays, there are no those fitters or plumbers who in those times used alligator wrenches and so on. Currently, they use absolutely different first-class equipment. They deal with new technologies and install plastic pipes in houses with a 50 to 75-year guarantee. Currently, professions like these are very prestigious.
Это очень такой престижная профессия.
Currently, many organizations need non-office workers, and this is not a surprise because the industrial development program is being implemented in Kazakhstan. Plants are being opened, thousands of working places are being created. To raise applicants' interest, employers offer them good employment benefits. The benefits package of so-called blue collars often includes free meals, conveyance of workers, staff mobile communications, and medical insurance. Of course, it may also include career development courses because nowadays companies are interested in the development of their employees. Experts explain the problem of personnel shortage by two factors. The first is that young people consider industrial occupations not prestigious. The second is low qualification among existing specialists. Employers prefer to cooperate with professionals who can use up-to-date equipment. The quality of education in domestic institutions, which must prepare for the labor market highly competitive specialists, also plays a very important role.
Я считаю, вот один из наших преимуществ, вот каждая профессия, которую мы готовим, чтобы ее оснастить досконально, в первую очередь это педагогическими кадрами, чтобы был высококвалифицированным.
I think that one of our advantages is that for students of all specialties we employ very experienced teachers. The second one is material and technical support. Students of all faculties have access to first-class equipment. All our workshops are equipped with modern machines. Theoretical classes have all necessary literature, information technologies, as well as innovation and sometimes international education technologies used throughout the world and in particular in Kazakhstan.
Технологии, вот это все. И плюс новейшими, вот современными, ну, где-то международными, где-то отечественными учебными программами. Вот такие, какие сейчас вот применяются, вот, ну, в принципе, во всем мире, у нас в Казахстане тоже.
For example, the Almaty Construction and Technical College prepares specialists in 7 areas. Special workshops and production laboratories with training simulators are equipped for students of each specialty. At first, beginning welders train to ignite and hold a welding arc with the help of the computer and 3D mask. Only after that, students are permitted to real equipment.
Тренажеры очень выгодны для нас.
These virtual simulators are very useful for us because they don't need electricity or any other materials. Our students develop welding skills and get all necessary information. They learn how to weld in all positions, how to fire an arch, and how to sustain arching without spending any resources, in particular electrodes.
Зажигать дугу, поддерживать горение дуги.
Several years ago, dual education agreements were concluded between colleges and some domestic enterprises. The system is widely used in Western countries. Instead of sitting in a classroom, students do practical training most of their time. Experts are confident that students, as well as employers, benefit from the dual education system. The first get working experience and the second, potential workers. Therefore, more than 2,000 enterprises from Kazakhstan have joined the dual education system.
Это же очевидно, что если к нам будут приходить молодые...
It is evident that if young, talented and simply good workers and engineering technicians come to us, our plant will continue to develop. So the phrase "human resources is key" remains relevant.
Решает все, она осталась актуальной и в наше время.
According to experts, nowadays there are almost 500,000 college students in Kazakhstan. Of them, only 98,000 learn industrial specialties. Because of that, the state makes every effort to encourage applicants to receive engineering education, for example, by means of grants. They will be given first of all to engineering students and only after that to those who specialize in economics and law.
То мы проводим и мониторинг, и прогноз потребностей в рабочей силе. И вот как раз на основе этого прогноза мы выявляем...
We monitor and do forecasts about manpower requirements. Basing on these forecasts, we find out 350 top professions in Kazakhstan. When we send participants of employment roadmap for studying, we take into account professions that are most in demand. I think because of that, our program is efficient because it allows to train specialists that are required in the labor market.
Я думаю, как раз эффективность нашей дорожной карты занятости в том, что подготовка ведется именно на те востребованные профессии и специальности, которые востребованы, скажем так, на рынке труда.
In Kazakhstan, much investment is made into the construction of production facilities. Only under Industrialization Map 2019, it is planned to launch dozens of projects which will help to create almost 40,000 workplaces. Among in-demand professions will be sewers, finishers and many other specialists. For a better salary in Kazakhstan, it is recommended to seek a job in such areas as crude oil and gas production, with an average salary up to 480,000 tenge, and production of refinery products 220,000 tenge. Workers of the oil and gas sector occupy 13 positions of 20 most highly paid categories of activity in Kazakhstan. Thus, the second, third, fourth, sixth and ninth places belong to engineers working in different areas of the oil and gas sector. Their average wages vary between 665,000 to 1 million tenge per month. European countries are also suffering a shortage of professional workers. In fact, almost 40% of local specialists prefer not to stay in one and the same company for more than 3 years. Such irregular employees can work in various spheres. However, employers place a priority on domain specialists who are badly needed in the region. As a result, many companies open vacancies for workers from neighboring countries. 22,000 employers in EU countries need foreign workers. Currently, they are offering more than to the loss of another 2 million workplaces. It should be noted that robot development is also a field where specialists are constantly in demand. At the same time, experts agree According to the International Labour Organization, nowadays 45% of employees all over the world are low-skilled workers, 37% are semi-skilled workers, and 18% are highly skilled professionals. There are many historical examples when people succeeded thanks to hand labor. A bright illustration of this is the career of Henry Ford. He assembled his first automobile at the age of 30, and 10 years later he founded his own company. Henry Ford is also known as the father of the auto industry. He was the first who made a car which proved to be not a luxury item, but a means of transport affordable for many people.